Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Raised Fist fame fancies himself such a man's man, whatever that actually is, that he literally wrote a book about it. He wrote a book about masculinity, at least as he sees masculinity. That man manifesto, for lack of a better term, is a byproduct of a carefully manicured public image, a so-called champion of conservative values, an advocate for the forgotten man, with an emphasis on the word man. But the Show Me State Republican, a Yale graduate with a soft spot for the alt-right, showed the American people exactly who he is on January 6th. A phony and a fraud. You remember his famous fist up photo delighting in the crowd that would go on to ransack the United States Capitol and engage in medieval combat with police officers. Happened to be his place of work. A crowd from whom he would flee during the attempted coup, only to later object to certifying the election results. Now, years after that lesson in bravery, Josh Hawley wants us to think he's an advocate for organized labor until at least someone called him out on it.
Because they know the view on that, you have a 0% rating from men who are anti-labor, who've always been anti-labor. The only reason you're staying now is because you're scared you're going to lose the election, because you're not popular. That's it. It's embarrassing, man.
So that was Lucas Kunce. He's a 13-year Marine veteran. He's challenging Hawley this November. He and his team have a powerful new ad out this week on the topic of family values. It's narrated by John Goodman. Watch that ad.
Family values. I learned what that meant while growing up in the most beautiful state in the Union. And what that didn't mean. Family values didn't mean cruelty. It didn't mean fake patriotism. It didn't mean telling people how to live or family profits. Lucas and I both learned family values is really about people taking care of each other and doing the right thing through good times and tough times.
Come on down, Lucas. Come on down.
All that other noise from the politicians,
I mean, this Kunce guy, he might be the...
that's something else. In Missouri, this November, no matter your party, no matter how you voted before, you have a real choice in the Senate race. Family values with Lucas Kunce or something else with Josh Hawley.
Joining our coverage, the aforementioned Lucas Kunce. Lucas is a 13-year Marine veteran running to replace Josh Hawley as the senator for Missouri. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
Tell me about this showdown. We played a little bit of it at the state fair yesterday. It feels like peak Missouri that you guys had the standoff at the state fair.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, actually. You know, I tried to meet him last summer at the state fair, and in typical Josh Hawley style, he just sort of skittered off and got away. And so, you know, I wasn't sure what was going to happen this year. And, you know, I was just hanging out with a crowd of people, talking to regular, everyday Missourians. And out of nowhere, like the U.S. Senator from Missouri just comes flying in as fast as he can, yelling. I couldn't tell what he was yelling at first, and just kind of came right at me. And he's talking about debates, you know, saying, let's debate. And, you know, we try to have 5 debates. I've agreed to 5 of them, including one on Fox News, because I know the guy kind of needs safe spaces to get out there, but he won't do any of them. And so, I don't know, it's just a really weird thing to have this guy kind of chase me down and keep yelling at me, basically. And, you know, I tried to be nice. I tried to greet him. And if you got a second for a story, the weirdest part about it is I'm sure a lot of your viewers have like never run into someone like this face to face. I never had, just sort of these pretender politicians, but you know, he's there just yapping up at me, yelling and yelling and yelling. And I kind of like laughed a little bit at one point. I don't remember if I said anything with it or just kind of smiled. And it's like this weird thing happened. His eyes kind of twitched a little bit, and you could see him sort of start to crack a smile like a kid when they get caught lying. And then it's just, you know, dove right back in double. And it's like, well, I guess it's on now, so we're just going to have to do this. But it's just, it was just a real good example of how performative and fake this all is, right? Which is hugely
Yeah.
disappointing when we have so many problems with our country.
What is the read on his conduct? I mean, lifelong Republican Liz Cheney seemed to single out Josh Hawley for specific and personal scorn for his conduct on January 6th. And it was for the reason of the raised fist, sort of inciting and signaling that he stood with the Trump supporters who were there to attack police officers, to desecrate the United States Capitol, to vandalize it, to injure lawmakers. Several of them would lose their lives after the January 6th insurrection. And then to be running faster than just about anyone who was caught on videotape that day, away from the people he incited with his raised fist. I mean, what is the view in Missouri about his conduct on that day?
It's just really embarrassing, right? He showed us all who he was on when he thought it was going to get him some power. He's out there raising his fist, inciting a crowd. And then when things got real, he's running out the back door. And it's just, I was a Marine for 13 years. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And, you'd have been in a lot of trouble if you ran away from the enemy like that back in the day. And it's just, I don't know what's going through the guy's head. But in Missouri, it's embarrassing. And it's also really sad because here in Missouri, we deserve a senator who's going to stand up for our rights, who's going to care about us, who's going to bring money back to the state. And he doesn't do any of those things. And it's just, you can really see that in communities like the one I grew up in that are suffering now.
What is the fight about the debates about? That you've agreed to the 5 televised debates and he wants to debate you somewhere else?
So we've agreed to the 5 televised debates. He is just sort of, he's coming up with different little stunts. He was like, well, let's have a debate on the state fairgrounds. And the state fairgrounds asked us not to do that and said, no, you're not welcome here. So then he wanted one of his endorsing organizations to host one, which violates federal ethics or federal election laws. So we couldn't do that. And it's just like, I don't know why the guy can't be normal and just agree to, do the normal 5 televised debates like we offered. Again, we offered one on Fox News and they seem to be interested, and that should be a safe space for him.
So he is right now a no on the Fox News debate with you?
Yeah, we haven't gotten him to accept any of them. And the part that really kills me about that is that, as a U.S. senator, you basically got 2 jobs, in my opinion. It's to bring money back to the state, and it's to meet with your constituents and tell everybody where you stand on the issues. And, the reason he doesn't want to do debates is because he doesn't want to have to answer for things like why he thinks in vitro fertilization and contraception are abortion and therefore murder, why he robbed $250,000 from Missouri taxpayers, why he wants to get rid of no-fault divorces so people are trapped in dangerous marriages. Telling you, the guy doesn't want to answer these questions, so he's just doing stunts. And the really sad thing for me is just the way that this hits my old neighborhood. And just a little bit of background on me. I grew up, my parents got married very young in mid-Missouri. They were 19 and 22 years old. They were Catholic and they followed the rules. So you know what that means, right? Kid, in the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And they stopped at 4 kids because when my littlest sister was born, she had to have an open heart surgery, and, very, very hard on a family like ours who was living paycheck to paycheck. We went bankrupt in about 2 months, and we made it through that time because the people in that neighborhood who had no more money than we did passed the plate down at their prayer group, my mom's prayer group. They brought more food by the house than we could eat and really took care of us. I joined the Marine Corps to, pay and honor and protect and serve everyone. I did my 13 years, Iraq and Afghanistan. And what Josh Hawley's point of view is right now is that people in my neighborhood should have second-class rights, right? None of us will have access to the reproductive care we need, no in vitro fertilization, no contraception, no abortion. He doesn't want us to have the right to organize. He doesn't want to take care of us. And it's just these things don't affect country club Republicans like him, so he just doesn't care about them. And we deserve better. We deserve someone who understands what it's like to live as an everyday Missourian and who will take care of us and actually serve themselves rather than to just do this weird grandstanding stunty stuff so he can get, I don't know, more seconds on TV.
But not the seconds where he's on TV with you actually having this debate.